House will return to order. Clerk has Senate messages.
The Clerk of the Senate announces that the Senate has passed with amendment and title amendment House Bill 4106, allowing constitutional carry for 18 to 20-year-olds.
Message be received. Gentleman first.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The Senate amended the title, and the House refused to concur in the Senate title amendment. Therefore, Mr. Speaker, I move to concur with further title.
Gentleman first moves that the House concur in the Senate amendment with further title amendment on House Bill 4106. Is there debate on the motion? Those in favor of the motion? Yes, gentleman for the 100th. I get right now is recognized.
Will the gentleman from the 91st, if he's available?
He's absent.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Question again is on the gentleman's motion that the House concur in the Senate amendment and title amendment with further title amendment. Is there debate on the motion? If not, those in favor of adoption of the motion, please say aye. Those opposed, please say no. Ayes appear to have it. The ayes have it. Chair declares the motion adopted. The question now before the House is, shall the bill pass? Is there debate on the bill? Is there debate on the bill? If not, those in favor of passage of the bill will please vote aye. Those opposed, please vote no. The clerk will prepare the machine. Has every member voted? If so, the clerk will close the machine and ascertain the result on that question. There were 85 ayes, 8 nays, and 6 members absent. A majority of members having voted in the affirmative, the chair declares the bill passed. The clerk will please report the title.
House Bill 4106.
Are there further title amendments? If not, the title as read by the clerk will be and remain the title of the bill. The clerk will please communicate the action of the House to the Senate. Next Senate message.
The Clerk of the Senate announces that the Senate has passed with amendment and title amendment committee substitute for House Bill 4245, authorizing certain agencies of the Department of Revenue to promulgate legislative rules.
Message will be received. Gentleman the 61st, Dr. Jeffries.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The Senate amendment keeps all the work of the House, but adds an amendment to the sports wagering rule that was not considered by the Legislative Rulemaking Review Committee. That amendment would create new law to govern minimum and maximum betting limits on sports betting. Since this rule change was not considered during the rulemaking process, I move that the House refuse to concur in the Senate amendment and the title amendment.
Gentleman the 61st moves that the House refuse to concur in the Senate amendment and title amendment and ask that the Senate receive therefrom on committee substitute for House Bill 4245. Is there debate on the gentleman's motion? Gentleman, lady in the 52nd, Douglas Howe is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Can you explain the sports wagering rule, what that is about?
It starts talking about what maximum wagering can be, and when people can be restricted and when they can't be restricted.
It's a whole new section that deals with the maximum and minimums of sports wagering.
Betting, like gambling? Yes?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Lady from the 71st, Douglas Kimball is recognized on the motion.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Would the gentleman yield for a question?
Yes.
Thank you. So what is the effect of the amendment?
It's to add a new rule about sports betting.
It would add a new rule about sports betting.
So what's the rule?
It governs maximum and minimum wagering, when you can bet over limits and all that kind of stuff.
It would deal with the maximum and minimums of sports betting when you could bet over limits.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Gentleman's motion, the gentleman of the 61st moves that the House refuse to concur in the Senate amendment and title amendment on committee substitute for House Bill 4245. Those in favor of the gentleman's motion will please say aye. Aye. Those opposed will please say no. Ayes appear to have it. Okay, the ayes have it. Chair declares the motion adopted. The clerk will please communicate the action of the House to the Senate. Further Senate messages.
The clerk of the Senate announces that the Senate has passed with amendment committee substitute for House Bill 4265 relating to authorizing the Department of Agriculture to promulgate a legislative rule relating to registration forms and tags for registration, taxation, and control of dogs.
The message will be received. Gentleman, the 61st, Doug Jeffries is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The Senate amended the rule of the Department of Agriculture relating to kratom generally by amending the definition of kratom products. This amendment to the rule conflicts with the definition of kratom products as amended in Senate Bill 985, which has passed the House. Inasmuch as the completed legislation will supersede the rule, either the existing definition or the amended definition of kratom products in the rule, which conflicts with the statute will be superseded by code. A new emergency rule will be required to be promulgated to reflect the statutory definition. Therefore, Mr. Speaker, I move that the House concur with the Senate amendment.
Gentleman, the 61st moves that the House concur in the Senate amendment on committee substitute for House Bill 4265. Is there debate on the gentleman's motion? Gentleman, the 13th, Doug Heckert is recognized.
Gentlemen, yield.
Yes, sir.
Does this still make synthetic kratom illegal?
The 985 rule does.
All right, thank you, sir.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Is there debate on the gentleman's motion? If not, those in favor of yes, for the gentleman, the 29th is recognized on the motion.
Gentleman from the 61st, yield.
Yes, sir.
Let's see, on page 3, subsection 2.2, striking out the words 2% and naturally derived and inserting in lieu thereof the words 10 milligrams per dose. Am I reading that right?
That is correct.
Okay, what is that? What's the rationale behind that?
It's just a different method of limiting synthetics.
Is it better? Is it a better method?
Both of them will be superseded by code.
Okay. All right. So on page 11, subsection 813, by striking out the word percentage and inserting in lieu thereof the word milligram. Why did they do that?
Just to make the rule consistent with their change.
2%. Is there, I see on page 14, paragraph 11 to A2, we're striking out the words 2% and non-naturally occurring synthetic products and inserting the words 10 milligrams per dose and non-naturally occurring, fully synthetic. Okay. Is there a definition of non-naturally occurring synthetic products? Did I miss that?
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay, thank you. No further questions.
Question still is on the gentleman's motion, offered by the gentleman the 61st. Those in favor of adoption of the gentleman's motion will please say aye. Those opposed will please say no. The ayes have it. Chair declares the motion adopted. The clerk will please communicate the action of the House to the Senate. Further Senate messages? We are. House has concurred in the Senate amendment on House Bill 4265. Question then would be, shall the bill pass? Gentleman from the 61st.
I was moved that it be made effective from passage after.
Question is, shall the bill pass? Those in favor of passage of the bill will please vote aye. Those opposed will please vote no. The clerk will prepare the machine. Has every member voted? If so, the clerk will please close the machine and ascertain the result. On that question, there are 94 ayes, 2 nays, and 3 members absent. A majority of the members having voted in the affirmative. The chair declares the bill passed. The clerk will please report the title.
Committee substitute for House Bill 4265.
Are there title amendments? If not, the title as read by the clerk will be and remain the title of the bill. The clerk, gentleman, the 61st.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Now I would like to ask that the bill be made effective from passage.
The gentleman, the 61st, moves that committee substitute for House Bill 4265 be made effective from passage. Those in favor of the motion will please vote aye. Those opposed will please vote no. The clerk will prepare the machine. Has every member voted? If so, the clerk will please close. Gentleman from the 90th, Doug Miller, your vote did not register. Clerk will please close the machine and ascertain the result. On that question, there were 96 ayes, 0 nays, and 3 members absent, 2/3 of members having voted in the affirmative. The chair declares the bill effective from passage. The clerk will please communicate the action of the House to the Senate. Next Senate message.
The clerk of the Senate announces that the Senate has passed with amendment committee substitute for House Bill 4552 relating to the law enforcement powers of correctional officers.
Message will be received. Lady from the 15th, Doug Moore.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The Senate amendment makes technical corrections to the bill which do not harm the original intent. Therefore, Mr. Speaker, I move the House concur with the Senate amendment.
The question is on the motion that the House concur with the Senate amendment on committee substitute for House Bill 4552. Is there debate on the motion? If not, those in favor of the motion will please say aye. Those opposed will please say no. The ayes have it. The chair declares the motion adopted. The question now before the House is, shall the bill pass? Those in favor of passage of the bill is there debate on the bill? Not those in favor of passage of the bill will please vote aye. Those opposed will please vote no. The clerk will prepare the machine. Has every member voted? If so, the clerk will close the machine and ascertain the result. On that question, there were 96 ayes, 0 nays, and 3 members absent. A majority of members having voted in the affirmative. The chair declares the bill passed. The clerk will please report the title.
Committee substitute for House Bill 4552.
Are there further title amendments? If not, the title as read by the clerk will be and remain in title of the bill. The clerk will please communicate the action of the House to the Senate. Further Senate messages.
The clerk of the Senate announces that the Senate has reconsidered and again passed Senate Bill 182 relating to annexation by minor boundary adjustment.
The message will be received. Lady from the 15th.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The Senate amendment removed the county commission's authority to approve or deny municipal annexations. The Senate also amended the title. Therefore, Mr. Speaker, I move that the House concur with the Senate amendment and the title amendment.
The question is on the lady's motion that the House concur in the Senate amendment and title amendment on Senate Bill 182. Is there debate on the motion? Gentleman, the 44th, Doug Roop is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Colleagues, this is the same bill that we went through that there were certain amendments placed in it regarding and allowing county control. What it did was it prevented cities and municipalities, small as they may be, from maybe annexing 5 miles of road to not provide any additional benefits to the citizens, not to provide any road grading, resurfacing, no benefits at all to the citizens of your county or even to your city. But they were allowed, without these amendments that we had requested before and the Senate removed, they are allowed to go out 5 miles, 3 miles, and have no control. They do not want the county to say yes or no. They do not want the county to be able to take care of all the citizens that live along these roads that when they pull it out of their driveway, they're going to be on the municipality. But when they're sitting in their yard or sitting in their driveway, they're in the county. And so all these amendments do is to protect the citizens, and it allows the county to look and make sure it's for the benefit of the county and all the citizens. And I urge the body here to not concur, to reject the concurrence motion.
Is there further debate on the motion that the House concur? Gentleman from the 18th, Douglas Butler, is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Would the gentleman from the 98th yield to a question, please?
Sure.
Gentleman does yield.
So is it your understanding then that the Senate removed the amendments that you sponsored that we put into the bill?
Yes.
Okay, and what was your rationale for that again?
My rationale for the amendments?
Yes.
To give the counties a veto over all forms of annexation. Or they can approve and deny it, but we talked about for 14 minutes the other day and debated it, that for policy reasons, that the county is elected by everyone in the county and the municipalities are only elected by the municipalities, and even in the election provision, the municipalities get to pick their voters in that election. So we also added another provision under the minor boundary annexation where they would have to consider under that factor, but right before the best interests of the county, whether the proposed annexation would result in increased taxes or fees directly or indirectly upon county residents.
Okay. And the city councils oftentimes are elected by obviously a much smaller number of voters than what the county commissioners are. So the municipalities then are actually making decisions for the whole county, and the county residents don't have an opportunity. Is that what's happening?
Yes, and as the gentleman from Greenbrier had mentioned, that his father had to go to the Supreme Court to seek redress because he couldn't seek redress at his county.
Okay, all right. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Gentleman from the 22nd, Douglas Linville, is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I didn't feel the need to speak up previously because it was clear that the body was going to adopt the amendment that we made, but I do feel like we should stick to our position here. The gentleman's amendment put us in a posture where a county could ultimately say that and defend sort of their constituents that were not constituents necessarily of the city that is trying to do this annexation of the roads. But I'm going to go a second step further. This has impacts back home going on right now, and there's a lot of folks in an unincorporated area that are very concerned about a city in Cabell County choosing to do some additional annexation that they're nervous about. It's an issue that you have with growth. I do get that. But I want to add perhaps a financial perspective to this. It's not just about whether or not there'd be additional taxes or regulations or things of that nature. But we all know that, and you've probably heard from most of your county commissioners, that tax increment financing districts that are offered presently by our municipalities also immediately have to be signed off on, and they can effectively bond the revenues for 30 or even 45 years. Of a new project as it relates to tax increment financing. And so if they annex a road because maybe there's going to be a possibility for a big development somewhere, or you've got a new interstate interchange or something like that, this can also deprive your counties of dollars just by the municipality choosing in and of themselves to do a tax increment financing district. I think we should stick to our guns, Mr. Speaker, and I urge that we reject the motion in front of us to concur in the Senate amendments and stick to the House's position. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Lady from the 96, Douglas White, is recognized on the motion.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. So just a point of inquiry. So if we do reject what they've sent over here, we're rejecting the amendments that they took out that we put in?
A motion to reject or defeat of the motion to concur would have the effect of asking that the Senate recede from its position.
Okay, thank you very
Lady's
much.
correct. Is there further debate on the gentleman's motion? Gentleman the 36, Douglas Green, is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I won't belabor the points that's already been made. They've been made very well, but I would like to just add my support to reject this motion.
Is there further debate on the motion that the House concur in the Senate amendments? Gentleman the 89th, Douglas Cannon, is recognized.
Will the gentleman from the 98th yield?
Yes, sir.
Thank you, sir. Are you aware that in counties, the unincorporated towns, if they do choose to seek corporation, city council, and a mayor set up, that they must go before the county commission? Are you aware of that?
Can you explain a little more specific, like what's the context?
In a county, if an unincorporated town wants to become incorporated, were you aware that the county commission must be involved in that process?
I did not know that until you mentioned that to me a few days ago.
Thank you. And also, you are aware that the county commissioners have a large role in annexations as it is already in code.
They do.
Thank you. Permission to speak.
Gentleman is recognized on the motion.
This is pretty cut and dry. Let's shoot this down, stick to our guns.
Gentleman, the 100th, I get right now is recognized on the motion.
Will the gentleman of the 98th rise?
Yes, sir.
Okay, or yield, so, yeah. Those areas that are being annexed, there is a vote by those property owners in that annexed property, correct?
Yes, under 862, under the election provision, there may be.
Okay, so are the property owners that are adjacent to those annexed areas, are they also similarly allowed to vote on whether or not the area that is being annexed can be annexed by the municipality that is trying to take that area?
They don't get a vote in the municipal annexation.
And
they're
others
not the affected property owner,
Okay.
or the property owning the property that's being annexed.
Yeah, I apologize for not letting you finish. Are others that potentially are impacted in that annexed area that may not have an adjacent property but are actually going to be impacted, as the delegate from the 44th was implying? Those entities also do not have an opportunity to vote on this, correct?
That's correct.
Okay, so their representatives to determine whether or not this annexation is in fact something that is in their best interest would actually be at the county commission level, in case I'm misunderstanding.
The county commission is elected by everyone in the county.
So the county commission would be in a position, and I'm asking this as a question, the county commission would be in a position to not only take care of those individuals and property owners that are going to be affected, but also those individuals that are in the potentially annexed area. And that to me seems to be their role. Do you agree with that?
Well, that's how it's contemplated in some aspects. In what we passed out of here, the amendments that we passed out of here made it uniform in all aspects of the annexation procedure.
Right. So our amendments actually clarified that the county commission's role is to facilitate the protection of not only those individuals in the annexed area or the area to be annexed, but also the adjacent property owners and other owners, property owners in the county that might be affected by such an annexation. Is that correct?
I mean, they have, under the provision 5, they have 7 factors. We've added an 8th, and the last factor is if it's in the best interest of the county.
Okay. So permission to speak to the bill, Mr. Speaker.
The question is on the motion to concur. Gentleman is recognized to speak on the motion to concur.
My apologies. My permission to speak to the motion.
Yes, sir. Gentleman is recognized.
We passed, I think, some very good amendments that were designed to protect the property owners in the county, those individuals and property owners that may be affected by an annexation that they have no say in other than via their elected representatives at the county commission level. This isn't just about those property owners inside that annexed area. It's about the property owners that may be affected, and that's the county commission's role. It's something that they get elected to do, not just a town council or a city council that makes a decision that it wants to take a property. As I mentioned, when we debated these amendments, there was an annexation effort that snaked along a road in order to take some property so that a business, a company, could come in, a very controversial company in our county, and that they could then, that town council on its own, without checking with the county, essentially allowed that business to open up. It remains a controversy. I get asked about it every time I door knock, multiple times. I've got people who still have the signs in their yard. It was 5 years ago, okay? They're not going to let it go because they didn't have an opportunity to have a say via their elected officials in the county commission. So I think we need to stick, as has been said by the gentleman from the 44th and the gentleman over there and gentleman from the 98th, to our guns. This is simply not something that we should just recede on and accept. We made a vote. We thought it was a good vote. We sent it over there. This was not a unanimous decision in the Senate. I think it was 7 were opposed. Frankly, if we send it back and say, hey, we're not going to budge, I think we've got a great chance of this coming through. And then we are actually taking care of the people in our counties. And that's the whole point, is we want to make sure that we're taking care of the people in the counties who don't have a vote in this, who are not part of that town council or that annexed area. So thank you very much.
Gentleman from the 88th, Delegate Hillenbrand is recognized.
Move the previous question.
Gentleman from the 88th moves the previous question be ordered on the motion to concur on the Senate amendment. Is the demand for the previous question sustained? Demand is sustained. The question now is, shall the previous question be ordered? Those in favor of ordering the previous question will please say aye. Those opposed will please say no. Roll call is requested. Is the request sustained? Request is sustained. The question is, shall the previous question be ordered on the motion to concur in the Senate amendment on, Senate action rather, on Senate Bill 182? Those in favor of ordering the previous question will vote aye. Those opposed will vote no. The clerk will prepare the machine. Has every member voted? If so, the clerk will close the machine and ascertain the result. On this question, the votes are 45 ayes, 48 nays, 6 members absent. Less than a majority in the affirmative. The chair declares the motion to order the previous question lost. Is there further debate on the motion that the House concur on the Senate action with respect to Senate Bill 182? Gentleman from the 67th, Delegate Coop Gonzalez is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. You have to forgive me, guys. I lost my voice earlier today, so that's probably good for most of you guys, I suppose. Would the gentleman from the 44th yield? Thank you. And I appreciate the work that you've done on this bill. Did the Senate come over to you at all and talk to you about why they wanted to take out this language from the bill?
We had a lot of discussions with the Senate senator. We were of the understanding that the amendments were okay until we saw it when it came back over.
Okay. So they just took it out at the last second and tried to give us the bill back.
My understanding is they took it out. They would reconsider next year, maybe working with us, but they wanted it so right now, if those amendments are out, they could annex every other year with the one amendment that's in.
Okay. Thank you very much. Would the gentleman from the 98th yield?
Yes.
Pretty much just the same question that I gave to the gentleman from the 44th. Did the Senate come to you and give any really good explanation for why they did this, or did they just decide at the last second to strip it out and send it back to us?
I'm not aware of why they did exactly what they did.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'd like to speak to the motion.
Gentleman is recognized.
This is very important to me because really throughout my term, there's been a lot of conflict between the city and the county about, where the authority lies. And at the end of the day, when the city wants to get control over something and they don't want to give the people of the county a voice or really any influence over that decision, that's the wrong thing to do. Us as legislators, we should always side on the side of giving our people more power and more voices, and for that reason, I urge rejection, and I urge us not to concur with the Senate. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Gentleman from the 83rd, Delegate Street is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I, too, would like to reject this concurrence. I want to stand with my colleagues on this. We sent over a good bill, good amendment, and I think it should stay that way. I do not want to concur. Thank you.
Gentleman from the 29th, Delegate Dillon is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Sorry, taking a drink there. Would the gentleman from the 98th yield?
Sure.
Okay, now, as I understand this, your intention for the amendment was to empower the citizens in the areas outside of these municipalities. Is that correct?
Yes.
Yes. So with the changes made by the Senate, if a town wants to take over an additional area with those changes in the bill, who speaks for those people?
Which people?
The people being annexed.
Well, the people being annexed, there's a couple ways they can do it, but they can petition or they can do it by election. So the property owners in the county territory that's being proposed to be annexed, they can have the choice, and based off of the procedures in 862, 863, 864, and 865, those are the 4 different types of annexations that they can utilize.
Okay, but with the Senate changes, does it affect that in any way?
The Senate stripped out what we did here the other day, and the amendment that we added. And so it only allows but the results of the Senate amendment that is before us is it would allow the municipalities to do it annually instead of biannually.
So the municipalities are going to be able to do this more frequently with the effect of the amendment from the Senate?
Correct. Annually
Correct.
instead of biannually.
And what effect will that have on our communities?
Well, it depends, because you don't have to annex anything. It's a permissive.
So to be clear, you're against concurrence, is that right?
I mean, I offered the amendment on that they just stripped out.
Yeah, that's okay. And I think I would agree with that. Thank you for yielding, delegate.
You're welcome.
Would the delegate from the 67th yield? That's all
What
right.
was that? Yeah, I'll yield.
Yeah. Can you think, delegate, of some communities in your area that might be specifically impacted by this, or?
Are you talking about by having the city just annexing
yes.
portions of land?
Yes.
Yes. So, for one of the issues is, and this moves a little bit outside of the scope of this bill, but not really, because it's the same conceptually, but one of the problems we have is that the city will provide water to neighboring communities, which is absolutely fine, but when they raise rates, they don't give the surrounding communities any kind of input for that. And obviously that's something that we should take care of at the legislative standpoint, but it's directly related to this because, again, you're not giving people the ability to have any input in their community, essentially, and that's taxation without representation, and I don't agree with it.
Delegate, do you think, given what you just stated, do you think this is constitutional, that we're basically taking away people's rights and they don't have a say in the process?
I don't know whether I can say it's constitutional or not, but it's definitely wrong, in my opinion.
It would seem to me like this might be able to be challenged in a court. I don't know. Okay, so in the greater context, Delegate, do you feel like we're kind of in the middle of this struggle, an ongoing battle between rural and urban communities? Do you feel like, that might be part of what's going on here in West Virginia?
I think that's a broader question. I don't know if I can answer that and stay within the merits of this motion.
Well, I think it's a question worth asking. Okay, thank you for yielding, Delegate.
You're welcome.
Question still is on the motion offered by the lady from the 15th that the House concur on the Senate action on Senate Bill 182. Chair recognizes Delegate Butler, gentleman from the 18th.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Would the gentleman from the 59th yield to a question, please? All right. Thank you. As I remember, you were actually opposed to the amendments. What was the rationale for you thinking that the city should be able to do this without input from the counties?
The amendments that were adopted were so broad that even in the event of an annexation by election, that the county commission would essentially have veto power over a vote of the affected residents.
Okay. Would you agree that the municipality elections actually are a lot fewer people in the community, in the county, than what the county as a whole is, right?
I would agree with that generally. I would add, though, that in the event of an annexation for an annexation, that it would be all affected property owners in that area.
So the property owners that are being annexed, do they have a say-so in this?
Yes, I believe so.
And how does that work?
I think each affected property owner has a vote.
Each one gets to vote in the municipal elections?
Each one gets to vote in an annexation election.
Okay, so the annexation election is different from obviously the municipal election. Now,
Yes.
how typically, or how would the public utilities work for this? If the municipality has a public water system or sewer, how does that affect the annexed areas?
I'm not sure how to answer that.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Chair recognizes the gentleman on the 14th, Douglas Fogan.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I was just going to ask unanimous consent to return to the second order of business.
Are there objections to introductions? Objection is heard.
This seemed like we were running out of time. All right, thank you.
Is there further debate on the motion offered by the lady from the 15th, Douglas Moore, that the House concur in the Senate action with respect to Senate Bill 182? If not, those in favor of adoption of the motion, please say aye. Those opposed, please say no. Noes appear to have it. Noes have it. Chair declares the motion lost. The clerk will please communicate the action of the House to the Senate. Gentleman the first. For what purpose does the gentleman seek recognition?
Mr. Speaker, unanimous consent to move to committee substitute for House Bill 5168.
Gentleman the first asks that the House proceed to consideration of committee substitute for House Bill 5168 to increase funding for EMS first responders. Are there objections? No objections are heard. Clerk will please report the Senate message on committee substitute for House Bill 5168.
The clerk of the Senate announces that the Senate has passed with amendment and title amendment committee substitute for House Bill 5168 to increase funding for EMS first responders.
Message will be received. Gentleman the first.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The Senate amendment changes the purposes for which funds in the new Office of Emergency Medical Services Special Revenue Account may be spent. It also requires counties to provide only a 30% match instead of a 50% match to the funding that they receive for emergency medical services from the lottery funds. Therefore, Mr. Speaker, I move the House concur with the Senate amendment.
Gentleman the first moves that the House concur with the Senate amendment on committee substitute for House Bill 5168. Is there debate on the motion? Gentleman from the 77th, Douglas Statler, is recognized.
It's a good bill, agreed upon, let's pass it.
Gentleman from the 18th, Douglas Butler, is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Would the majority leader yield to a question, please? Okay. Would anybody yield to the question of, he read so quickly I could not hear what the percentages was. Was the percentage a 50% match? 30. Okay, and
Gentleman the 77, Douglas Statler, yields for a question.
Okay.
We're sending it back as amended at 50%. What it stands at now is 30, but we're sending it back as amended at 50.
The motion is to send it back. Okay, thank you. I just wanted to make sure I understood what we were voting on. Thank you.
Is there further debate on the gentleman's motion? Gentleman the 18th, Douglas Butler.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. If I may ask this question again, I've had a lot of people here say that that's not what we're doing here. So can we get clarification on this?
Gentleman first to restate the motion.
For clarification, the motion is I move that the House concur with the Senate amendment.
Okay, and the Senate amendment, would you answer a question?
I yield, but I assume the floor.
Okay, so it is 30%, not a
The
match.
Senate amendment took it from 50% to 30%.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Is this, I'm sorry, I'm kind of confused here. Is this the time that I would speak for or against them?
Gentleman can speak to the motion. If gentleman wishes to speak to the motion, gentleman is recognized.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Gentleman with 23rd, Deckard Worrells raised a point of order.
Mr. Speaker, I think we have conflicting. What the majority leader said is not what is matching in on the House actions on Senate messages. That is not what is, the House action on Senate messages is not lining up with what the majority leader is proposing that we do. So I'm asking for that clarification. He said we would concur with the Senate amendment. The House actions on Senate messages says we are concurring with further amendment. I'm just asking for clarification.
Gentleman with the first.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I don't live by paper. I made a motion to concur with the Senate amendment.
Okay, the motion on the floor then offered by the gentleman with the first is that the House concur with the Senate amendment. Gentleman the 18th is recognized to speak on the gentleman's motion.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Speaker. I recommend that we don't go along with the concurrence because I think that we need to keep the funding as a match. So I urge that we don't concur. Thank you.
Gentleman from the 23rd, I got Worrells recognized. Delegate Worrells recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Would the Chair of Education yield for a question?
Yes, sir.
Thank you, sir. Is it your understanding that we are, I know the motion that the majority leader made is concurring with the Senate amendment. Was it your understanding that we would concur with further amendments to raise it back to 50%?
That is correct. That's the way the agreement was that I've worked out with the Senate, that we would concur with everything that they had changed except for the 30 cents. We would further amend it to the 50, and they would accept it as that.
So in your opinion, if I wanted to go with that agreement, I would vote against the majority leader's motion to concur with the Senate amendment.
Sir, at this time, I don't want the bill to fail. I can tell you
Yes, sir.
that. And, but the negotiated was the way it would be sent back across at 50 cents.
Okay, thank you very much, sir. Appreciate it. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Gentleman from the 84th, Delegate Jennings is recognized.
I'll go along with everybody. They had supposedly made a deal, but the time is so late. And what we're talking about, the part that they were going to match is the $5 million part, not the whole $12 million part. It was only $5 million. Right now, it's 30% of that they have to match. What we're arguing about is 20% from 30 to 50, which equals $1 million. That's all we're arguing about here. And I wanted to go along with Joe and everybody else and send it back, but I'm afraid that if we don't concur, that it's dead. That's the only reason why. But it's up to you. It's up to each one of you as to how you vote. But we all know, I've seen year after year where it dies going back and forth. And this is so close one more time. And like I said, we're only talking about $1 million. And I was absolutely going to go along with Joe and with them, but I think the time is getting too late. So I believe we should go ahead and vote green with the motion.
Gentleman from the 88th, Delegate Hillenbrand is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Once again, perfect is the enemy of good enough. I agree. The hour is late. A half a loaf is better than no loaf. I would accept the Senate's amendment.
Lady from the 52nd, Delegate Howe is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Would the colleague from the 77th yield for a question?
Ma'am.
Gentleman does yield.
Thank you. I'm sorry to have my back to you, but I'm going to read from Senate messages. It says, add section of code that establishes legal requirements and prohibition in the relationship between local governments and certified microgrid districts and certified high-impact data center projects is added to the bill and amended to require these entities to pay city and county fire and ambulance fees. I didn't see where there was any specification, so how will they know what they have to pay? Has that been added as well? Or is this something that has to be amended and added in there?
I believe the way it stands, it will work. And I will tell you, ma'am, in the process of all this and in the compromise, I'm willing to accept the majority leader's motion and move this thing on down the road. If I have to take 30 cents on the dollar, 30 cents will be just fine. That's, as the gentleman said, it's better than nothing, and we're running out of time.
Okay, but specifically my question was, is this the city and the county fire and ambulance fees, is that specified in the bill with this amendment that they had put in the Senate? Or is that an additional amendment that has to be made on the bill since they've actually changed it and added this information in there? I'm going by the Senate messages.
The way I read the bill earlier, it will work. That's all I can tell you. Don't have the bill in front of me, but I was satisfied with everything except for the 30 cents. I wanted to go more. But
Okay, thank you, sir. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Questions on the gentleman's motion that the House concur with the Senate amendment? Those in favor of adoption of the motion will please say aye. Aye. Those opposed will please say no. No. Ayes appear to have it. The ayes have it. Chair declares the motion adopted. The question now before the House is, shall the bill pass? Those in favor of passage of the bill will please vote aye. Those opposed will please vote no. The clerk will prepare the machine. Has every member voted? If so, the clerk will please close the machine and ascertain the result. On that question, there were 96 ayes, 1 nay, and 2 members absent. A majority of members having voted in the affirmative, the chair declares the bill passed. The clerk will please report the title.
Committee substitute for House Bill 5168.
Are there further title amendments? If not, the title as read by the clerk will be and remain the title of the bill. The clerk will please communicate the action of the House to the Senate. Further Senate messages.
The clerk of the Senate announces that the Senate has passed with amendment committee substitute for House Bill 4606 relating to the meaning of residence for the purpose of bail.
The message will be received. Gentleman the 50th, Doggett Pritt.
Yes, Mr. Speaker. I move that we take up the Senate message for committee substitute for House Bill 4606 immediately.
It is before us.
The committee substitute for House Bill 5537.
Okay, the gentleman moves that the House proceed immediately to consideration of committee substitute for House Bill 5537. Those in favor of adoption, for what purpose? Those gentlemen, the first seek recognition.
Point of inquiry, Mr. Speaker.
Gentleman will state the question.
Is the gentleman's motion in order?
It's up to the House. If the House chooses to proceed to consideration of something out of order, it does require a vote.
Unanimous consent first, maybe?
Not unanimous consent. It would require a majority vote, though, before we could proceed out of order. So the gentleman's motion has 5537. Okay, committee substitute for House Bill 5537. Those in favor of the gentleman's motion that the House proceed immediately to consideration of House Bill 5537 will please say aye. Aye. Those opposed will please say no. No. Roll call is requested. Is the request sustained? Request is sustained. Question before the House is, shall the House proceed immediately to consideration of committee substitute for House Bill 5537? Those in favor of the motion will please vote aye. Those opposed will please vote no. The clerk will prepare the machine. Has every member voted? If so, the clerk will close the machine and ascertain the result. On that question, there are 47 ayes, 49 nays, 3 members absent, less than a majority in the affirmative. Chair declares the motion lost. Before the House is the motion, or is the report reported by the clerk on committee substitute for House Bill 4606. The report has been received. Question now before the House, or recognized, is the gentleman of the 37th, Douglas Gearhart.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Senate amendment to the bill to clarify that a magistrate may issue a personal recognizant bond in felony crimes which are not violent. The Senate amendment did not include an amendment to separate section of code which also prohibits magistrates from issuing a personal recognizance bond in any felony case. Therefore, Mr. Speaker, I move the House concur in the Senate amendment with further amendment and by amending the title.
Gentleman of the 37th moves that the House concur in the Senate amendment with further amendment and title amendment on committee substitute for House Bill 4606. Gentleman of the 8th, Douglas Bell, is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Move the previous question.
The gentleman of the 8th demands that the previous question be ordered on the motion. Is the demand for the previous question sustained? Demand for the previous question is sustained. The question is, shall the previous question be ordered on the motion? Those in favor of the motion to order the previous question will please say aye. Aye. Those opposed will please say no. No. Noes appear to have it. Roll call is requested. Is the request sustained? Request is sustained. The question is, shall the previous question be ordered on the motion? Those in favor of ordering the previous question on the motion will please vote aye. Those opposed will please vote no. The clerk will prepare the machine. Has every member voted? If so, the clerk will please close the machine and ascertain the result. On that question, there were 39 ayes, 56 nays, 4 members absent, less than a majority in the affirmative. The chair declares the motion to order the previous question on this motion lost. Question again before the House is the gentleman's motion offered by the gentleman of the 37th that the House concur in the Senate amendment with further amendment and title amendment. Those in favor of the motion will please say aye. Aye. Those opposed will please say no. The ayes have it. Chair declares the motion adopted. The question before the House is, shall the bill pass? Is there debate on the bill? Gentleman from the 18th, Douglas Butler, is recognized on the bill.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Would a gentleman from the 37th yield to a question, please? Yes, sir. All right, thank you. Could you tell me again what the Senate amendment actually was?
The Senate amendment offered the personal recognizant bond in a felony crime in a separate section of code. In other words, it repeated in a separate section of code where magistrates that prohibit magistrates from issuing, personal recognizance bond in a felony case.
Okay, it prohibits the magistrates.
That was previously stated, and it restates it in a separate section of code.
Okay. Thank you. Would the gentleman, the Judiciary Chair, yield to a question, please?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Could you kind of put this in plain language so I can understand what's happening here?
Yeah, the plain language is the Senate amendment clarifies that the court of competent jurisdiction over felony cases is the one that may issue PR bonds with exceptions for certain enumerated crimes. So the PR bonds can't be issued in crimes of violence that are listed in the Senate amendment.
Okay, so
that's the plain language, sir.
Okay, so this is kind of saying that the magistrates don't maybe have the I don't know what the right terminology is. It takes somebody at a higher level than a magistrate to make this kind of decision is what the effect is?
It depends on the crime, sir.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Question again before the House is, shall the bill pass? Those in favor of passage of the bill will please vote aye. Those opposed will please vote no. The clerk will prepare the machine. Has every member voted? If so, the clerk will close the machine and ascertain the result on that question. There were 84 ayes, 9 nays, 6 members absent. A majority of the members having voted in the affirmative, the chair declares the bill passed. The clerk will please report the title.
Committee substitute for House Bill 4606.
Are there further title amendments? If not, the title as read by the clerk will be and remain the title of the bill. The clerk will please communicate the action of the House to the Senate. Further Senate messages.
The clerk of the Senate announces that the Senate has concurred in House amendments with further amendment and title amendment and passed committee substitute for Senate Bill 587, adjusting salary schedule for elected county officials.
The message will be received. Gentleman from the 37th.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The House amended the bill to provide the county officials with an across-the-board 5% pay raise. The Senate concurred with further amendment to restore its language to allow county commissioners every 2 years to set the salaries of all county officials. Besides being unconstitutional, there are no guidelines for how to set these salaries and no prohibition against reducing the salaries of county officials that are out of favor. The amendment would also restore the Senate language that says no county official may get a salary increase if more than 30 days in arrears in their jail bill. These are provisions the House specifically rejected. Therefore, I move that the House refuse to concur in the Senate amendment.
The question before the House is the motion by the gentleman from the 37th that the House refuse to concur in the Senate amendments on committee substitute for Senate Bill 587. Gentleman from the 50th, Douglas Pritz, recognized.
Point of inquiry, Mr. Speaker.
Gentleman will state the question.
Would it be in order to make a motion to limit debate to a certain amount of time on a motion, or do I need to wait for the question?
Under the rules of the House, the subsidiary motion to limit debate is in order on all debatable questions.
All right, Mr. Speaker, I move that debate on this question be limited to a total of 5 minutes.
Gentleman from the 50th moves that debate on the question now before the House be limited to 5 minutes. This is not a debatable question. For what purpose does gentleman 65th seek recognition? Gentleman does not seek recognition. The question before the House is, shall the motion now before the House be limited in debate to 5 total minutes? Those in favor of the motion will please say aye. Aye. Those opposed will please say no. No. Roll call is requested. Is the request sustained? Request is sustained. The question is, shall debate on the motion be limited to 5 total minutes? Those in favor of the motion will please vote aye. Those opposed will please vote no. The clerk will prepare the machine. Has every member voted? If so, the clerk will please close the machine and ascertain the result. On that question, there were 54 ayes, 42 nays, 3 members absent, a majority of members having voted in the affirmative on that question. Debate on the motion offered by the gentleman from the 37th, Douglas Gerhardt, that the House refuse to concur in the Senate amendment and title amendment on committee substitute for Senate Bill 587 be limited to 5 minutes. Is there debate on the motion? Is there debate on the motion? Gentleman from the 12th, Douglas Chris, is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. This bill went through the Finance Committee. We took the bill back as we did in the year 2022 and did a straight across-the-board pay raise for the elected officials at the county level. We did not allow the county commissioners to set those rates. We do not need to get in a posture of taking authority by the Constitution away from this legislature. And then you're going to have county commissions politically setting sheriff's salaries, assessors' salaries, prosecuting attorney salaries, the county clerk and the circuit clerk. And if you don't want to play games along with the county commissioners, they can adjust your salaries. And you may be overlooked as an elected official. The reason that this is set up the way it is set up in our Constitution and by general law is that you are the body that sets the elected officials' salaries. You've got to understand you must keep that. You must be jealous of that authority. Just like taxing in this state. You must be jealous and hold that to the highest level. If you don't, you're going to open yourself up down the road in one of our 55 counties to a corruption situation beyond belief. So I would urge you to refuse to concur with this because it is important that you keep that ability within this body. Thank you.
Is there further debate on the gentleman's motion? If not, yes, Gentleman 17, Delegate Pinson is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Just point of inquiry.
Gentleman will state the question.
If we pass the gentleman's motion to refuse to concur, the bill goes back to the Senate. They can recede from their position and pass, if they would choose, they could pass 5%.
Gentleman is correct.
Thank you.
Gentleman is correct. Lady from the 52nd, Delegate Howell is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Would the chairman of Finance yield, please?
Sure.
Are there any bordering states that actually have language set up in their laws that allow this, as the Senate had in their amendment?
I didn't understand your question.
With how the Senate has in their amendment to where they would allow the commission to set the raises. Are there any bordering states? Because I know that from legislation I've seen past this term, we are comparing with what we are doing here versus what other states are doing. So are there any other states?
I have no knowledge of what other states are doing. I'm concerned about making sure that the integrity of this body stays in place.
Okay.
And that we hold on dearly to our job, in this case, setting salaries for elected officials.
I understand. Thank you, sir.
Gentleman, the 89, Delegate Cannon is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Permission to speak.
Gentleman is recognized.
I have to say, ladies and gentlemen, I absolutely agree with the Chairman of Finance. I've seen these 6-year terms become 24-year tenures, 28-year tenures, powerful incumbencies where they care less and less about what the people think. I feel much safer with 134 hearts and minds making those powerful decisions than I do 2 powerful incumbents. You just need one other lady or gentleman to agree with you to do anything as a county commissioner. We need to keep that power here and more power to the people. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Is there further debate on the gentleman's motion? If not, the question before the House is the motion that the House refuse to concur in the Senate amendment on committee substitute for Senate Bill 587 and ask that the Senate recede therefrom. Those in favor of adoption of the motion will please say aye. Aye. Those opposed will please say no. The ayes have it. Chair declares the motion adopted. The clerk will please communicate the action of the House to the Senate. Further Senate messages.
The clerk of the Senate announces that the Senate has concurred in House amendments with further amendment and title amendment and passed committee substitute for Senate Bill 890, changing certain school calendar requirements from days or months to hours.
The message will be received. Gentleman, the first.
The Senate amendment removes changes the House made for publication of the school calendar and added in language for private and parochial schools. For Mr. Speaker, I move the House concur with the Senate amendment and title amendment.
For what purpose did the gentleman the 50th Delegate Pritz seek recognition? The question before the House is the motion offered by the gentleman the first that the House concur in the Senate amendment and title amendment on committee substitute for Senate Bill 890. Is there debate on the motion? Lady from the 96th Delegate White is recognized on the motion.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Speaker. Did it change the hours from the 9:54 to back to 900? I'm sorry, gentleman from the first. Will you yield for a question? Pat, cut me a break. I'm new at this.
I yield. I assume the floor.
So, so did it bring the hours back down to 900?
Yes.
Thank you.
Question still is on the motion that the House concur in the Senate amendment and title amendment. Is there debate on the motion? If not, those in favor of adoption of the motion will please say aye. Those opposed will please say no. The ayes have it. Chair declares the motion adopted. The question now before the House is, shall the bill pass? Is there debate on the bill as amended? Is there debate on the bill as amended? If not, those in favor of passage of the bill will please vote aye. Those opposed will please vote no. The clerk will prepare the machine. Has every member voted? If so, the clerk will close the machine and ascertain the result. On that question, there were 93 ayes, 3 nays, and 3 members absent. A majority of members having voted in the affirmative, the chair declares the bill passed. The clerk will please report the title.
Committee substitute for Senate Bill 890.
Are there title amendments? If not, the title as read by the clerk will be and remain the title of the bill. Gentleman the first.
I move the bill become effective July 1st, 2027.
The question is on the motion that the bill become effective July 1st, 2027. Those in favor of the motion will please vote aye. Those opposed will please vote no. The clerk will prepare the machine. Has every member voted? If so, the clerk will close the machine and ascertain the result. On that question, there are 96 ayes, 1 nay, and 2 members absent, 2/3 of the members having voted in the affirmative. The chair declares the bill effective July 1st, 2027. The clerk will please communicate the action of the House to the Senate. Further Senate messages.
The clerk of the Senate announces that the Senate has passed with amendment House Bill 5686 relating to the timing of payments of annually required deposit into an eligible recipient's Hope Scholarship account.
The message will be received. Gentleman the first.
The Senate amendment is technical, Mr. Speaker. I move the House concur with the Senate amendment.
The question is on the motion that the House concur with the Senate amendment on House Bill 5686. Is there debate on the motion? If not, those in favor of adoption of the motion, please say aye. Those opposed will please say no. The ayes have it. Chair declares the motion adopted. The question now before the House is, shall the bill pass? Is there debate on the bill? If not, those in favor of passage of the bill will please vote aye. Those opposed will please vote no. The clerk will prepare the machine. Has every member voted? If so, the clerk will close the machine and ascertain the result. Gentleman 13, Delegate Heckert, your vote did not register. Clerk will please allow Delegate Heckert to cast a vote. Clerk will please close the machine now and ascertain the result. On that question, there were 96 ayes, 1 nay, and 2 members absent. A majority of members having voted in the affirmative, the chair declares the bill passed. The clerk will please report the title.
House Bill 5686.
Are there further title amendments? If not, the title as read by the clerk will be and remain in title of the bill. The clerk will please communicate the action of the House to the Senate. Further Senate messages at this time.
The clerk of the Senate announces that the Senate has passed with amendment and title amendment committee substitute for House Bill 5537, repealing obsolete and outdated sections of the Education Code.
Do the members have available in your system House Bill 4009? Yes, clerk will please report House Bill 4009.
The clerk of the Senate announces that the Senate has passed.
Gentleman will state the question.
Read off House Bill 5537, putting the question before us.
Well, the chair hadn't put it before us yet. We're getting to it. We're going to do 5537 in just a minute.
But is it proper to move to 4009 when the question was put before the body?
The chair hadn't put the question yet. We're going to do 5537 in just a minute. Clerk, please will hurry up and report House Bill 4009.
The clerk of the Senate announces that the Senate has passed with amendment House Bill 4009 relating to the creation of the Portable Benefits Account Act.
That message will be received. Gentleman the first.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The Senate amendment requires the accounts to be overseen by the Division of Labor instead of the Insurance Commissioner. We are proposing, if my motion succeeds, here's the proposed language for our amendment. To delete, quote, unemployment insurance, end quote, from the enumerated benefits included in the definition of, quote, portable benefit plan, end quote. Therefore, Mr. Speaker, I move the House concur with further amendment.
The question is on the gentleman's motion that the House concur in the Senate amendment with further amendment on House Bill 4009. Is there debate on the gentleman's motion? If not, those in favor of adoption of the motion, please say aye. Those opposed will please say no. The ayes have it. Chair declares the motion adopted. The question now before the House is, shall the bill pass? Those in favor of passage of the bill will please vote aye. Those opposed will please vote no. The clerk will prepare the machine. Has every member voted? If so, the clerk will close the machine and ascertain the result. On that question, there are 95 ayes, 2 nays, and 2 members absent. Majority of members having voted in the affirmative, the chair declares the bill passed. The clerk will please report the title.
Committee substitute for House Bill 4009.
Are there title amendments? If not, the title as read by the clerk will be and remain the title of the bill. Clerk will please communicate the action of the House to the Senate. Next Senate message.
The clerk of the Senate announces that the Senate has passed with amendment and title amendment Committee substitute for House Bill 5381 relating to developing a comprehensive energy development policy and plan for the Office of Energy.
The message will be received. Gentleman the first.
The Senate amendment, Mr. Speaker, concentrates the bill more on base load generation and not intermittent sources such as wind and solar. Renewable energy language is also removed in several locations throughout the bill. Therefore, Mr. Speaker, I move the House concur in the Senate amendment and title amendment.
The motion is that the House concur with the Senate amendment and title amendment on House Bill 5381. Lady from the 56th District, Young, is recognized.
Thanks, Mr. Speaker. We don't have the bill before us.
We do not have the bill before you?
Not in the system.
Bill is not in the system.
I've refreshed. It's not there.
Gentleman the 50, for what purpose does Gentleman the 53rd District Levitt seek recognition?
To make the point that if you hit current bill, it shows up in the system.
Chair did not hear the gentleman's point.
Just to make the point that if you hit current bill, it shows up in the system.
Are members able to access the bill? Okay, if members are able to access the bill, then the question is on the motion that the House concur in the Senate amendments. Gentleman the 79th District Hanson is recognized.
Would the gentleman from the first yield to a question?
Yes.
Which of the amendments in the system are we voting on?
The rules. It's listed as a Rules Committee amendment.
And you mentioned that so renewable energy is taken out entirely from this bill. Is that right?
Yeah, in most places.
I mean, the word renewable doesn't show up in the bill anymore, does it?
Alternative energy does show up, but it's an open-ended definition, I'm told.
Okay, but alternative energy is defined, but it's no longer allowed to be part of the energy plan itself. It's excluded from the energy plan. Is that right?
Correct.
Okay. Thank you for answering those questions.
Yep.
To speak to the bill, this is a vote about electric rates. This is a vote about whether we as a body, we as a state are going to not play favorites and pick and choose what type of energy is allowed in our energy plan, but to consider all types of energy, fossil fuels, coal and gas, all types of renewables, including wind and solar, not to presuppose that you know what's best for the people of West Virginia or what's going to be cheapest. When this bill came out of the House, this body did a good job to make sure that all sources of energy are considered so that we could protect ratepayers. Because frequently, renewable energies are the cheapest options. And often, renewable energy is generating electricity at the time when there's peak demand on the grid. So it's actually helping. If you want to save ratepayers money, it's not just about building big baseload power plants. It's about taking a smarter approach and having a mix of energy, each of which has pros and cons, pluses and minuses, but taking a balanced all-of-the-above approach. This bill that's come back to us from the Senate does not do that. This bill that came back from the Senate will continue to have West Virginia ratepayers paying higher and higher electric bills because they're locked into a system that doesn't accept innovation, doesn't accept new types of energy. And that's not why I came down here. I came down here because electric rates are one of those kitchen table issues that we hear about every day from our constituents. They want us to get up here and fight to stop those rate increases. This bill does not do that, so I oppose the motion.
Gentleman from the 86th District Ward is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Would the Vice Chair of Energy yield for a question?
Sure.
Thank you. So the gentleman that just spoke before me talked about electricity cost. The effect of this amendment it seeks to remove wind and solar?
Yes.
Okay. Has there, generally speaking, and I know there may be an exception, but is there ever a time that intermittent energy sources are able to stand on their own and actually reduce fossil fuel usage for our power generation?
It's very difficult to, as standing on its own, very difficult. I don't want to say impossible. You never say never, but it's very difficult.
Okay.
Pardon? Yeah. It is not baseload generation, which could stand on its own.
Okay, I've just, I've tried to read up on it, and I know you live and breathe this stuff, but it seems that every chart that I've seen has shown that the introduction or the acceptance of all intermittent sources have a tendency to increase the ratepayer charge, whether it be through the subsidy, before or the ratepayer afterwards. So, there's I guess I'm looking at what is the net impact to the ratepayer if we concur with the amendment, is that going to increase power costs?
We can always add. No, this particular, this bill deals with base load calculation, not with intermittent.
Okay.
The intermittents are not base load, period.
Okay. Thank you for that.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Gentleman from the 13th District, Heckert's recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Will the Vice Chair of Energy yield for a question?
Absolutely.
If I read this right, renewables are not prohibited, but they're not prioritized.
Yeah, they're not prohibited. That's correct.
All right. Thank you, sir. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Gentleman from the 4th District, Flanagan's recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I move the previous question.
Gentleman from the 4th has asked that the previous question be ordered on the motion to concur in the Senate amendments. Is the request sustained? The request is sustained. The question is, shall the previous question be ordered on the motion that the House concur in the Senate amendments? Those in favor of the motion to order the previous question, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed, please say no. No. Noes appear to have it. Roll call is requested. Is the request sustained? The request is sustained. The question now is, shall the previous question be ordered on the motion that the House concur in the Senate amendments? Those in favor of ordering the previous question will please vote aye. Those opposed will please vote no. The clerk will prepare the machine. Has every member voted? If so, the clerk will close the machine and ascertain the result. On that question, there were 56 ayes, 34 nays, and 9 members absent. Majority of members having voted in the affirmative, the chair declares the previous question ordered. The question before the House is the motion that the House concur in the Senate amendment on House Bill 5381. Those in favor of adoption of the motion will please say aye. Those opposed will please say no. The ayes appear to have it. The ayes have it. Chair declares the motion adopted. The question now before the House is, shall the bill pass? Is there debate on the bill? Is there debate on the bill? Gentleman the 50th, Douglas Pritz, recognized on the bill.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Speaker. I move the previous question.
Previous question has been ordered on the bill. Is the request sustained? Is the request sustained? Request is sustained. The question now is, shall the previous question be ordered on the bill? Those in favor of ordering the previous question will please say aye. Aye. For what purpose those gentlemen of the 67th seek recognition?
I wanted to ask if it's in order to table the gentleman's motion.
To table, it is in order to table an amendment and a bill.
Okay.
Not a procedural device in the midst.
Thank you, Mr.
The motion
Speaker.
to order the previous question is a subsidiary secondary motion. So again, the question now is, shall the previous question be ordered? Those in favor of ordering the previous question on the bill will please say aye. Aye. Those opposed will please say no. No. Roll call is requested. Is the request sustained? Request is sustained. The question is, shall the previous question be ordered on the bill? Those in favor of ordering the previous question on the bill will please vote aye. Those opposed will please vote no. The clerk will prepare the machine. Has every member voted? If so, the clerk will close the machine and ascertain the result. On that question, we had 63 ayes, 33 nays, and 3 members absent. Majority of members in the affirmative. The chair declares the previous question ordered. The question now is, shall the bill pass? Those in favor of passage of the bill will please vote aye. Those opposed will please vote no. The clerk will prepare the machine. Has every member voted? If so, the clerk will close the machine and ascertain the result. On this question, there are 91 ayes, 5 nays, and 3 members absent. The majority of members having voted in the affirmative, the chair declares the bill passed. The clerk will please report the title.
Committee substitute for House Bill 5381.
Are there further title amendments? If not, the title as read by the clerk will be and remain the title of the bill. The clerk will please communicate the action of the House to the Senate. Clerk will please report House Bill 4004.
The clerk of the Senate announces that the Senate has passed, with amendment, committee substitute for House Bill 4004, creating the Recharge West Virginia program.
Message will be received. Gentleman from the 72nd. Gentleman first.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The Senate amendment changed the bill from $50,000 per company per year, no more than $50,000 per company per year, to no more than $100,000 per company per year. Therefore, Mr. Speaker, I move the House concur in the Senate amendment.
The question is on the motion that the House concur with the Senate amendment on House Bill 4004. Is there debate on the motion? Gentleman the 50th, Douglas Pritz, recognized.
Yes, Mr. Speaker, I move the previous question.
Gentleman the 50th moves or requests that the previous question be ordered on the motion that the House concur. Is the request sustained? The request is sustained. The question is, shall the previous question be ordered on the motion that the House concur in the Senate amendment on House Bill 4004? Those in favor of the motion to order the previous question will please say aye. Aye. Those opposed will please say no. No. Noes appear to have it. Roll call is requested. Is the request sustained? Request is sustained. The question is, shall the previous question be ordered on the motion that the House concur in the Senate amendments? Those in favor of ordering the previous question will please vote aye. Those opposed will please vote no. The clerk will prepare the machine. Has every member voted? If so, the clerk will close the machine and ascertain the result. On that question, there are 55 ayes, 40 nays, and 4 members absent. Majority of members having voted in the affirmative, the chair declares the previous question ordered. The question is, shall the House concur in the Senate amendments on House Bill 4004. Those in favor of concurring with the Senate amendments will please say aye. Aye. Those opposed will please say no. The ayes have it. Chair declares the motion adopted. The question before the House now is passage of the bill. Those in favor of passage of the bill as amended will please vote aye. Those opposed will please vote no. The clerk will prepare the machine. Has every member voted? If so, the clerk will close the machine and ascertain the result. On that question, there were 89 ayes, 6 nays, and 4 members absent. A majority of members having voted in the affirmative, the chair declares the bill passed. The clerk will please report the title.
Committee substitute for House Bill 4004.
Are there title amendments? If not, the title as read by the clerk will be and remain the title of the bill. Gentleman the first.
I move for effective passage.
The question is on the motion that the bill be made effective from passage. Those in favor of the motion will please vote aye. Those opposed will please vote no. The clerk will prepare the machine. Has every member voted? If so, the clerk will close the machine and ascertain the result. On that question, there were 92 ayes, 4 nays, and 3 members absent. 2/3 of members having voted in the affirmative, the chair declares the bill effective from passage. The clerk will please communicate the action of the House to the Senate. Further Senate messages.
The clerk of the Senate announces that the Senate has passed with amendment and title amendment committee substitute for House Bill 5537, repealing obsolete and outdated sections of the Education Code.
The message will be received. Gentleman from the 38th.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The Senate amendment adds Rayleigh's Law to one of the repealed sections. Wish to concur with further amendment and title amendment by adding the House Bill 4656, which is related to chronic absenteeism, which the House passed unanimously, and curing code conflicts. I wish adopted.
Okay, the question before the House is the motion offered by the gentleman of the 38th, Delegate Ellington, that the House concur in the amendment with further amendment. We do have amendments filed. We do have amendments at the desk offered by members. So at this time, the chair will recognize the lady from the 71st, Delegate Kimball, as the sponsor of one of the amendments.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I move to amend the amendment. I move to amend the bill or the amendment on page 1 by striking section 34 in its entirety and inserting a new section 34 to read as follows. Section 18-5-34, County Superintendent requirement related to mandatory reporting of abuse or neglect. Subsection A, in addition to any other requirements for mandated reporting, a county superintendent shall report directly to the Department of Human Services centralized intake the suspected abuse or neglect of a child who is currently enrolled in a public school by the child's custodial parent, guardian, or caregiver when there is imminent danger to the physical well-being of the child. Such report made by the county superintendent may not be screened out by centralized intake, and Child Protective Services shall investigate the report within 24 hours of receiving the report. Subsection B, each county school board shall adopt a policy requiring any school teacher or other school personnel who makes a report of a suspected child abuse or neglect to notify the county superintendent of the child's school district within 24 hours of that report being made to the Department of Human Services. That is my amendment, Mr. Speaker, and I urge adoption.
Okay, the question now is on adoption of the primary amendment just explained. Is there debate on the primary amendment? Chair recognizes the gentleman from the 59th, Delegate Shamblin.
I move to table the amendment.
Okay, gentleman from the 59th moves that the amendment be laid upon the table. Those in favor of the motion to lay upon the table the primary amendment will please say aye. Aye. Those opposed will please say no. Noes have it. Chair declares the motion to lay upon the table lost. Question again is on adoption of the primary amendment. Chair recognizes lady from the 19th, Dr. Kraus.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Would the gentlelady yield for a moment?
I would.
Does your amendment start, is it with a previous investigation, or is it any investigation that's even started after the parent goes to pull a child?
It doesn't have anything about it. All of that subsection should have been taken out.
Okay, so
I struck section 34 in the entirety.
so with this,
Maybe I should.
okay. Yeah, I don't see it in there. So it strikes out everything saying when the report has to be filed, or had to have been filed.
Well, let me see. I don't have that. 18,534. I don't have it right here in front of me, actually. I guess I'll withdraw my amendment. I don't have it with me. Actually. Actually, may I have counsel? May I have a judiciary counsel, please? My counsel that helped me with my amendment. There he is. Thank you.
Gentleman will state the question. Gentleman the 5th is recognized to state the question.
The gentlelady just withdrew her amendment. There was no response from the chair. That's, I believe, pending before us now.
Was an amendment withdrawn? Lady from the 71st? Chair was, we appear to have a competing amendment. I'm sorry, Chair was engrossed in that.
I said maybe I should, but I have a question for my counsel. He wasn't around.
Ask counsel while the chair looks at the potentially competing amendment here.
So, and that.
Were we able to get an answer?
So I did not intend to have any mention at all of anything being filed about a case with the school. So there was nothing. All those other previous subsections were filed, and this just, it replaces the entirety.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Okay. Thank you.
Does that answer your question?
I think so.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
For the benefit of all members, House will be in order. For the benefit of all members, Chair will review what is in the system and what is pending for the benefit of all members. Pending before the body is the main motion offered by the gentleman from the 38th, as well as a primary amendment offered by the lady from the 71st, which would amend the main motion offered by the gentleman from the 38th. We do have a We have two other competing primary amendments, or two other main motions that would be to the bill, and those are offered by the gentleman from the 64th, Delegate Burkhammer, and the gentleman from the 29th, Delegate Dillon. So the chair will, in just a moment, once this amendment is disposed of, this primary amendment, the chair will allow the other two sponsors of competing main motions to introduce your main motions, and then we'll consider them in sequence as we have all session. So pending before the body at the moment is the primary amendment offered by the lady from the 71st to the main motion offered by the gentleman from the 38th. So we will dispose of it first, then we will dispose of the three pending potential competing amendments. So the question again is on the motion offered by the lady from the 71st as a primary amendment to amend the main motion offered by the gentleman from the 38th. Is there debate on that primary amendment? Gentleman from the 64th.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. So I am going to rise in support of the gentlelady's motion. And I first want to talk about kind of the problems with the way the bill came from the Senate. And I understand where we're trying to get to, and I'm trying to get there as well. We've debated this and we've kicked this around for quite some time. And honestly, I think we need to put it to bed and we need to protect kids. And so I'm going to stand in support of this. But again, I want to tell you, number one, as the bill is written, first line says county boards may not approve home instruction. Well, the problem is county boards don't approve home instruction. So there's actually no mechanism for them to approve or deny that. In Chapter 18, you put in a notice of intent for home instruction. You don't ask anyone permission to do that. Also in Chapter 18, there is a complete list of other exemptions. So in the exemptions, we're focused here, the bill that came from the Senate is focused on home instruction, but there are numerous other exemptions that I think that should be considered, and the amendment addresses that when it talks of kids being transferred or withdrawing from school. So you've got currently only home instruction. That limits the scope of the children you're trying to protect. And actually, in the case that we continually talk about here, there was never a notice of intent filed to homeschool, so you would have actually never protect the child that we're trying to protect here. So we're broadening that to if you're withdrawing from school. The other issue is that what we're trying to do here is really focus on the kids that are in danger. And so already defined in code is a term, imminent danger to the physical well-being of the child. That's really focused on the children. So you've got this broad sweeping, if there's an investigation made by school personnel or a school teacher, you can't withdraw your kids. Well, let's talk about and let's focus on the kids that are in danger, and let's make sure that they're getting an investigation. So again, as the bill has come from the Senate, there is actually no mandatory investigation. So you're stopping people from withdrawing their kids from school, technically can't do that, and you're actually never requiring that anybody goes and checks on that child. The gentlelady's amendment speaks of a required investigation within 24 hours. So we've identified that the child is in imminent danger. We've identified that the parent is trying to remove the child from school, and we are requiring an investigation within 24 hours. That is what's going to save lives and protect kids. Not telling people they can't homeschool, not giving some 10-day window. Let's let the county superintendent identify who is in danger. Let's let them make the call. And if that child's being removed from school, we're going to require that an investigation happen. Also, an additional flaw that's in the bill that stands is that it talks about the sharing of information when there's an investigation going on. That is actually illegal. That is illegal on the state level, and that is illegal on the federal level. You are not able to share the confidential information of a CPS investigation or anything about a child. Can't happen. So I just want to urge you guys that I know there's a lot of passion. I'm really even kind of frustrated how we've politicized this thing, but it's flawed. It is flawed on many levels. And so I think it's time that we put this to rest. We adopt the gentlelady's amendment to the amendment, and we really focus on protecting kids and not making a political stunt out of this, not trying to attack homeschoolers and not all this that's going on. And I really think this gets us to where we want to go. So again, I support the gentlelady's amendment to the amendment, and I hope you will too. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Gentleman from the 50th, Douglas Pritt, is recognized on the primary amendment.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Speaker. I move that debate on all pending amendments before us be limited to 90 seconds per amendment.
90 seconds. Gentleman from the 50th moves that debate on all pending amendments be limited to 90 seconds per member. Per amendment. Per amendment? Per member or per amendment?
Per amendment, Mr. Speaker.
Per amendment, okay. The question is on the gentleman's motion that debate on each pending amendment be limited to 90 seconds. It does take a majority vote to order the motion to limit debate. Those in favor of limiting debate to 90 seconds per amendment will please say aye. Aye. Those opposed will please say no. Okay, roll call is requested. Is the request sustained? Request is sustained. The question is, shall debate be limited to 90 seconds per amendment? Those in favor of the motion will please vote aye. Those opposed will please vote no. The clerk will prepare the machine. Has every member voted? If so, the clerk will close the machine and ascertain the result on that question. There were 28 ayes, 62 nays, and 9 members absent. Less than a majority in the affirmative. The chair declares the motion to limit debate to 90 seconds per amendment lost. Question still is on the primary amendment as offered by the lady from the 71st, Delegate Kimball. Gentleman of the 7th, Delegate Sheedy, is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I make a motion that we limit all further amendments and discussion to 5 minutes per, or we will not have enough time to vote on this final law.
Okay, gentleman of the 7th moves that. Please state the motion again.
All amendments and discussion will be limited to 5 minutes each, or we will not even have time to vote on this law.
Discussion on each amendment be limited to 5 minutes. Okay, again, the question is, shall debate on each amendment be limited to 5 minutes total? Those in favor of the motion to limit debate to 5 minutes per amendment, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed, will please say no. No. Roll call is requested. Is the request sustained? Request is sustained. The question is, shall debate on each of the amendments be limited to 5 minutes per amendment? Those in favor will please vote aye. Those opposed will please vote no. The clerk will prepare the machine. Has every member voted? If so, the clerk will close the machine and ascertain the result. On that question, there are 47 ayes, 43 nays, 9 members absent. Majority of members having voted in the affirmative, the chair declares the motion adopted. The clerk will please begin to compute time consumed in debate on the pending primary amendment beginning now. Gentleman from the 1st, Delegate McGeegan, is recognized on the amendment.
Point of inquiry, Mr. Speaker.
Gentleman, state the question.
Okay, if there was $4 million on the line because of an education initiative in the budget, because of an error to a title amendment, if I ask unanimous consent to reconsider our actions on House Bill 5438, it would take 30 seconds to do for $4 million. Would that be in order?
It is always in order to ask the body for unanimous consent for almost anything.
Mr. Speaker, I ask unanimous consent to reconsider our action on our vote to refuse to concur to the Senate amendment to House Bill 5438.
Are there objections? Okay, no objections are heard. Gentlemen, please make the motion.
Mr. Speaker, I move that the House concur with further title amendment.
The gentleman from the first moves that the House concur with further title amendment on House Bill
5438.
5438. Is the clerk in possession of the bill? Clerk is in possession of the bill. The question is, shall the title amendment be adopted on House Bill 5438? Those in favor of adoption of the title amendment will please say aye. Aye. Those opposed will please say no. The ayes have it. Chair declares the title amendment adopted. The title as amended by the House will be and remain in title of the bill. The clerk will please communicate the action of the House to the Senate on House Bill 5438. Clerk will also please not compute any of the time consumed by that in the 5 minutes allocated to debate on the primary amendment as offered by the lady from the 71st. That question remains pending before the body. Gentleman the 80th, Douglas Williams, is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. On House Bill 5537, I move that all amendments and the underlying bill, we move the previous question on them, and according to House Rule 63, each sponsor be given 3 minutes to close on their amendment. Thank you.
On all pending amendments and the bill, okay, the gentleman the 80th moves that the previous question be ordered on all amendments filed with the clerk and the bill on House Bill 5537. Is the demand sustained? Demand is sustained. The question is, shall the previous question be ordered on all the amendments and the bill? Gentleman the first. The clerk has communicated the action of the House to the Senate with respect to House Bill 5438, or will. Okay. Question again is, shall the previous question be ordered on all amendments and the bill on House Bill 5537? Is the demand sustained? Demand was sustained. The question is, shall the previous question be ordered? Those in favor of ordering the previous... Gentleman will state the question.
Point of inquiry.
Gentleman will state the question.
So they're attempting to mute any discussion about all of the amendments?
If adopted, the motion for the if the motion for the previous question were adopted, it would give each sponsor of each amendment 3 minutes to explain each of the amendments, followed by an immediate vote.
Okay, so so if we're uncertain of how each amendment affects the bill, we're not allowed to ask questions?
That's correct.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
The demand was sustained. The question is, shall the previous question be ordered? Those in favor will please say aye. Aye. Those opposed will please say no. No. Roll call is requested. Is the request sustained? Request is sustained. The question is, shall the previous question be ordered on each of the filed amendments and the bill on House Bill 5537? Those in favor of ordering the previous question will please vote aye. Those opposed will please vote no. The clerk will prepare the machine. Has every member voted? If so, the clerk will please close the machine and ascertain the result on that question. There are 36 ayes, 56 nays, and 7 members absent. Less than a majority in the affirmative. The chair declares that motion lost. The question still is on the primary amendment. Chair recognizes the gentleman from 98, Douglas Funkhauser, on the amendment.
Yes, point of order, Mr. Speaker.
Gentleman will state the question.
If the amendment before us to the amendment from the lady from the 71st is adopted, that will dispose of all the other amendments and we will move towards the bill's passage. Is that correct? With the competing amendments. If we adopt the amendment before us...
Well, the chair's ascertained that there actually will only be the amendment as offered by the lady from the 71st. If it is rejected, then the question then would be on the motion as offered by the gentleman from the 38th, Delegate Ellington. If it is rejected, there is a competing amendment. There is a competing motion, not amendment, a competing motion offered by the gentleman from the 64th, Delegate Burkhammer. If both are rejected, then the House will have achieved what is embodied in the alternative offered by the gentleman from the 29th, Delegate Dillon, and the bill will go back to the Senate with the request that the Senate refuse. State the question.
However, we want to pass the bill without sending it back to the Senate. We reject everything and vote for what the Senate sent us, correct?
Gentleman is correct. That is also accurate. Question before the House is on, again, the question by the lady, or the motion by the lady from the 71st. Delegate Pritt is recognized on the primary amendment.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Speaker. Would the gentleman from the 38th yield for one question? Just one.
38th?
Yes, sir.
Gentleman does yield.
Yes, would you consider withdrawing your motion to concur with further amendment?
No.
Okay, thank you for yielding. All right, everybody. We have an opportunity here tonight to do something to protect children. We have tried this for 4 years. If we amend this bill or change it in any way, this bill dies tonight, which I do think is probably the outcome that some in this room want, and that's fine. That's their prerogative. I respect that. But what I can't respect, and what I just can't, is that we have a moment here to do something to protect children that are in harm's way. That is a fact, and I'm very sorry if that fact is very uncomfortable for some of you to deal with, okay? Just because it's uncomfortable does not mean it's not true. And so that is, I am pleading with you. I am pleading with you to please reject these amendments as quickly as we can so we can send this bill back to the Senate and it can go downstairs for a signature. Thank you very much. I've never asked for anything so strongly in my life. I plead with each of you for the personal, emotional connection that each of us have. Thank you very much.
Okay, the 5-minute time limit adopted by the body on the primary amendment has elapsed. So the question before the body then is the primary amendment offered by the lady from the 71st, Delegate Kimball. Those in favor of adoption of that primary amendment will please say aye. Aye. Those opposed will please say no. No. Okay, noes appear to have, roll call is requested. Is the request sustained? Request is the request sustained? Request is sustained. The question is, shall the primary amendment be adopted? Those in favor of adoption of the primary amendment will please vote aye. Those opposed will please vote no. The clerk will prepare the machine. Has every member voted? If so, the clerk will please close the machine and ascertain the result. On that question, we had 38 ayes, 58 nays, and 3 members absent, less than a majority in the affirmative. The chair declares that primary amendment lost. Now we need to report Amendment Kimball number 1.
Delegate Kimball moves to amend the Senate amendment. This is HFA Kimball 3-14 number 1.
The question is on the amendment just reported by the clerk. Chair will recognize the sponsor, lady from the 71st, Delegate Kimball. Clerk will please begin the allotted 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I move to amend the bill, subsection A, I move to amend the Senate amendment on page 1, section 34, line 3, by striking lines 3 through 25 in their entirety, inserting in lieu thereof the following, and renumbering the remaining subsection accordingly. Subsection A, all reports of imminent danger of a child made by school personnel to Child Protective Services shall be immediately investigated. The department will inform the superintendent of the status of the investigation within 3 days of the initial report. Subsection B, all reports made by law enforcement to Child Protective Services shall be investigated immediately. The department will inform the status of the investigation to the reporting law enforcement officer within 3 days of the initial report. That is my amendment, Mr. Speaker, and I urge adoption. And I reserve the right to close.
The question is on the amendment as just offered by the sponsor. Chair will recognize the gentleman of the 59th, Delegate Shamlin, on the amendment.
I move to table the amendment.
Gentleman on the 59th moves that the amendment be laid upon the table. Those in favor of the motion to lay the amendment upon the table, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed, please say no. No. Okay, noes appear to have it. Roll call is requested. Is the request sustained? Request is sustained. The question is, shall the amendment be laid upon the table? Those in favor of laying the amendment upon the table will please vote aye. Those opposed will please vote no. The clerk will prepare the machine. Has every member voted? If so, the clerk will close the machine and ascertain the result. On that question, there are 43 ayes, 49 nays, and 7 members absent. Less than a majority in the affirmative. The chair declares that motion lost. Question now is on that primary amendment. Gentleman the 50th, Doug Pritz, recognized on the amendment.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Speaker. I move the previous question.
The gentleman the 50th has requested the previous question be ordered on the amendment. Is the request sustained? Request is sustained. The question is, shall the previous question be ordered? Those in favor of ordering the previous question, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed will please say no. No. Roll call is requested. Is the request sustained? Request is sustained. The question is, shall the previous question be ordered? Those in favor of the motion to order the previous question will please vote aye. Those opposed will please vote no. The clerk will prepare the machine. Has every member voted? If so, the clerk will please close the machine and ascertain the result. On this question, we had 40 ayes, 52 nays, and 7 members absent. There are less than a majority in the affirmative on that question. So the question again remains on the primary amendment. Is there further debate on the primary amendment? Gentleman 97, Doug Anders, is recognized on the primary amendment.
Just a point of inquiry, sir.
Gentleman will state the question.
I see all the other amendments listed, but I do not see my amendment that I had in the system listed.
Chair does not have it up here. Chair will consult with the clerk while we're processing this amendment.
Thank you.
Gentleman is recognized next.
Mr. Speaker, the question, you started the clock when she was announcing her amendment, at that very time. So if it took her 2 minutes to just explain the amendment, is that considered debate?
It is.
Fair enough. Thank you.
Is there further debate on the primary amendment? Gentleman of the 52nd, Doug Howe, is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Will the gentlelady from 71 yield for a question?
I'll try.
Thank you. So on A, which is the very first line, you said made by school personnel. So it's anyone that actually works within the school system.
Yes.
That includes bus drivers, custodians.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you so much.
Lady in the 71st.
Mr. Speaker, do we have any other debate on the amendment?
We were just waiting on the time to expire. The 5 minutes allotted for the amendment have expired.
And then I would be able to close?
No, ma'am. Question before the House is adoption of the amendment. Those in favor of adoption of the amendment will please say aye. Aye. Those opposed will please say no. No. Noes appear to have it. Roll call is requested. Is the request sustained? Request is sustained. The question is, shall the amendment be adopted? Those in favor of adoption of the amendment will please vote aye. Those opposed will please vote no. The clerk will prepare the machine. Has every member voted? If so, the clerk will please close the machine and ascertain the result. On that question, there are 29 ayes, 60 nays, and 10 members absent. Less than a majority in the affirmative. The chair declares the amendment lost. So now pending before the body are two potential competing amendments offered with the gentleman from the 38th. One offered by the gentleman from the 64th, Douglas Burkhammer, is recognized to explain the competing amendment, or the competing motion,
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. So my amendment would actually, there would not be any of the chronic absenteeism stuff that the gentleman from Mercer is. It's basically trying to deal with the underlying issue that we're all trying to get at. And so if we really want to protect kids, maybe we should write good law. Because the law before you is not going to protect one single child. It will not function. It won't. You're trying to attack homeschoolers. You're setting up a system that will not function and communicate within itself. And I've drafted an amendment that the gentlelady already offered, and it is before you, that will protect children. And I don't care what time it is. Our job is to write good law. And we need to write good law, and we need to protect kids. And this garbage of kicking this same bill around for the last 4 years, it didn't pass because it's bad law. And this is good law. This gets to the system and the problem. And it tells you that when there's imminent danger to a child and the county superintendent's making the report and that parent is removing that child from that school, there will be an investigation. I cannot imagine that we think somehow we're going to protect kids by writing legislation that just puts some 10-day grace period in it and says, don't even go check on the kid. Terrible law. And it's a terrible argument to stand up and say that. So this gets to that. The bill before you is completely flawed. It will never communicate it with itself. It can't do it. It's illegal to do it. You're leaving out all of the other exemptions that are listed in 18. All the other ones. Doesn't deal with when a kid moves from one county to another. My amendment does. This gets to the what we're wanting to do. This gets to it. So adopt the amendment. We've got time. And let's do the right thing here. Or we can play political games and think we're getting some kind of win by passing the bill that's before you that will not protect one single child. It's flawed. I urge adoption.
Gentleman of 64, Douglas Burkhammer, has explained the second of the two amendments, or the second of the two competing options. Delegate Anders, gentleman from the 97th, to explain the third of the three options.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The point of inquiry, the 5 minutes, does that include the explanation of the amendment?
It does.
Okay. Well, I have quite an expansive amendment, but I'm going to go ahead and explain it the best way that I can. Mr. Speaker, this amendment strikes all the underlying language after the enacting clause and replaces it with a simple reform that restores parental authority over education in West Virginia. It removes unnecessary state mandates placed on homeschool families. It eliminates curriculum micromanagement from the Department of Education. And it restores parents as the primary decision makers in their children's education, like we voted on just last year when we passed the Parents' Bill of Rights. The underlying bill expands bureaucracy and government oversight. This amendment instead removes red tape and trusts families and puts us in line with about 20 other states in the union. Because parents, as we stated last year, have the first responsibility and natural right to educate their children. Governments should support families, not control them. West Virginia should support all educational paths: public school, private school, charter school, homeschool. This amendment protects that freedom. Let's face it, homeschool families already demonstrate great outcomes. If we truly believe in educational freedom and parental rights, then we should replace this bill with language that empowers families instead of expanding bureaucracy. This amendment simply asks a basic question: Do we trust parents to educate their children, or do we believe the Department of Education, the unelected board, should control homeschool families? If we say we support parental rights, this amendment would be the right vote to prove it. Republicans across the country have time and time again said they support school choice and parental rights. This amendment is exactly that.
5 minutes allotted for
and
explanation
more
of the
freedom
bill
for
has
families.
expired. The question
Thank
before
you.
the House now will be on each of the 3 possible amendments, taken from largest in scope to narrowest in scope, beginning with the largest, that offered by the gentleman from the 38th, then second, that offered by the gentleman from the 97th, then third, the narrowest offered by the gentleman from the 64th. For what purpose does the gentleman seek recognition?
Is there time remaining to speak to the amendments?
The 5 minutes allotted to the gentleman from the 97th has expired. There were not 5 minutes allotted to the gentleman from the 38th amendment, so the gentleman is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I just want to correct the record real quick here. The language before you has passed this body on 2 occasions. It was within bills. It was never sent back to us from the Senate. It was finally sent back to us from the Senate tonight. We sat on it for 8 hours. You voted on it. You've already passed it. And now all these amendments are popping up and we know damn well why it is. This is abhorrent behavior. Disgusting government. When you're done here tonight, after you kill this bill again, when it was finally sent back to us, this was drafted by an assistant prosecutor. Don't give me that nonsense that it's not drafted correctly. It was drafted by an assistant prosecutor and sent to us. You don't think he knows what he's doing? You don't think Judge Blake knows what happened to Rayleigh and said on the record that the legislature was screwing up and there was a loophole and people abusing children are taking advantage of this loophole? And so the bill was introduced to close it. It's simple. It's 1 page. It comes from a judge and an assistant prosecutor. And you all politicized it. So when you kill the bill again, her picture's out front. I couldn't bring it in here because what I did last time, I'm sure you've seen the news. What I did last time, you changed the rules. So I couldn't bring her in here again. So when you reject her tonight, go out there and at least have the guts to look at her. Have the guts. I don't think you do. This is ridiculous. This is why I didn't give a farewell speech, because it's abhorrent what's going down here. Disgusting behavior. We know this bill is good. We know who it was drafted by. We know what it stands for. It's not about homeschoolers. It's not attacking homeschoolers. Those who pretend to be and actually abuse is who we're going after. You should want to do that. Why are we here defending child abusers? It's insane. Reject all the amendments with our 6 minutes left because we played political football for 4 years on this, Mr. Speaker. And we did it today because we've had this since like 10 a.m. We wait until now to take it up. How embarrassing, this legislature. How embarrassing. Shame on all of us. Shame.
Is time remaining?
As far as the time goes, what was that in reference to?
Debate on the gentleman from the 38th main motion.
Okay, very good. Thank you.
Chairman of the 65th, Douglas Martin's recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. On the previous vote, my vote was not counted, and I was present and in my seat.
Gentlemen will please note the vote with the clerk. The clerk will record it in the journal.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Gentleman of the 14th, Douglas Fogan.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Permission to speak. There's about 2.5 minutes left on the gentleman from the 64th Amendment.
Whatever's left on the clerk's timer is available. Gentleman's recognized.
I've learned to trust people here, people's judgment when my judgment isn't, when I don't have knowledge on things. And I know that the gentleman from the 64th is always looking out for the best interest of kids. I don't know a lot about what's going on here. I remember a couple years ago when somebody talked us out of session and it expired, and a lot of us had important things we wanted to vote on, and I don't want to do that to anybody. I want to help protect kids, and I think I can probably trust this guy beside me to do what's right and help protect kids, so I'd urge supporting his amendment. Thank you.
Gentleman from the 98th, Delegate Funkhauser is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'll be quick. I believe the Senate will concur, and the gentleman from the 64th Amendment, I'll run it over there. I urge passage of the 64th.
Lady from the 19th, Delegate Kraus is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I too want to say that the bill that came across to us will not solve the problem that they're looking to solve. Rayleigh was, it was the CPS system that failed Rayleigh. It had nothing to do with the school. There were dozens upon dozens of calls on her, and CPS in Nicholas County did nothing. This was a CPS problem. This was not a homeschool problem. She never filed paperwork to homeschool. She was not a homeschooler. Her parents pulled her out and did not re-enroll her. She was truant, and Nicholas County did nothing. This was a CPS problem, and this was a school problem. And the bill before us, as it stands, does nothing to stop that.
The 5 minutes allotted for debate on the motion have expired. The question before the House is, from broadest to narrowest, shall the motion offered by the gentleman from the 38th, which is that the House concur in the Senate amendment with further amendment on House Bill 5537, be adopted? Those in favor of the motion, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed, please say no. No. Noes appear to have it. Roll call is requested. Is the request sustained? Request is sustained. The question is, shall the motion be adopted? For what purpose does the gentleman seek recognition?
I'm confused. So with, send it back with amendments?
That's the motion. That's the motion before the House. That's the motion. That's the motion placed before the House by the gentleman from the 38th. For what purpose does the gentleman from the 97th seek recognition?
Just a point of inquiry, sir.
State the question.
If we adopt the first motion or the first, do we vote on the other underlying amendments?
We do not. The narrowest to broadest to narrowest. Roll call was requested on the motion. The request was sustained. Question is, shall the motion be adopted? Those in favor of adoption of the motion will please vote aye. Those opposed will please vote no. The clerk will prepare the machine. Has every member voted? If so, the clerk will close the machine and ascertain the result on that question. There were 21 ayes, 74 nays, and 4 members absent. Less than a majority in the affirmative. The chair declares the motion lost. Question now is on the motion offered by the gentleman from the 97th, Delegate Anders. Those in favor of adoption of the motion will please say aye. Those opposed will please say no. No. Noes have it. Chair declares the roll call is requested. Is the request sustained? Request is not sustained. The question is now on the motion offered by the gentleman from the 64th. Those in favor of adoption. For what? The chair rules that division to be dilatory at this time. Questions on the motion offered by the gentleman from the 64th. Those in favor of the motion will please say aye. Aye. Those opposed will please say no. No. Noes appear to have it. Roll call is requested. Is the request sustained? Request is sustained. The question is, shall the motion offered by the gentleman from the 64th be adopted? Those in favor of adoption of the motion will please vote aye. Those opposed will please vote no. The clerk will prepare the machine. Has every member voted? If so, the clerk will please close the machine and ascertain the result on that question. There were 69 ayes, 26 nays, and 4 members absent. A majority of the members having voted in the affirmative, the chair declares the motion adopted. Question now before the House, shall the bill pass? Those in favor of passage of the bill will please vote aye. Those opposed will please vote no. The clerk will prepare the machine. Has every member voted? If so, the clerk will please close the machine and ascertain the result. On that question, there are 94 ayes, 1 nay, and 4 members absent. Majority of members having voted in the affirmative, the chair declares the motion. The chair declares the bill passed. The clerk will please report the title.
Committee substitute for House Bill 5537.
Are there title amendments? If not, the title as read by the clerk will be and remain entitled of the bill. The clerk will please communicate the action of the House to the Senate. Gentleman to 35th, Doug Advance. For what purpose does the gentleman seek recognition?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Point of inquiry, is it midnight?
One of my clocks says yes and one says it's not. So,
Well, I motion that we adjourn sine die.
gentleman from the 35th moves that the House adjourn the session sine die. Those in favor of the motion will please say aye. Aye. Those opposed will please say no. No. The House appear to have it. The House have it. Chair declares the motion adopted. The chair declares the House adjourned sine die.